All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're excited for that checkup from the neck up from our dear friend Knolly Williams, all the way from Puerto Rico. And you're going to find out what the business healer has got going on next right here on Cliff's Notes. Real estate agents, are you struggling with the day-to-day grind, dialing for dollars, putting in hours of floor time with little to show for it? Are you looking for tips, tricks, and tactics to accelerate your career as an agent that will have you closing more homes, working with more clients, and earning more money than ever before? Hi, my name's Cliff Freeman, and I've spent the past 2 decades of my real estate career running one of the top brokerages in DFW and personally coaching over 1,000 high-performing real estate professionals across North America. I created this podcast to share the strategies and tactics you need to explode your real estate business. I guarantee it. Yeah, the simple things in life may or may not be free. We're going to find out here in just a second. But, man, it's good to be back. I got to spend a couple of days in your old neck of the woods, TPC Scottsdale, right over there. Had a great time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Old stomping grounds.
Old stomping ground. I appreciate you keeping the wheels on the bus while I was gone.
Yeah, that's not a problem. It was not too bumpy.
Not too bumpy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
and smooth sailing.
Yeah, smooth sailing. Yeah. You know, it only rains about, 3-6 inches, something like that a year. And yesterday it was pouring, all that rain from California.
Out there in, monsoon season.
That one time a year, huh?
Yeah.
Something like that. Speaking of rainy days, this man's never had a rainy day of his life. Let's go ahead and bring on Knolly Williams. Knolly, my dear friend, all the way long distance now.
Yeah.
From Puerto Rico. How are you, my friend?
Man, I am truly blessed. Super excited now that I'm hanging out with you two fine gentlemen. I don't have my jacket on. Please excuse the fact that I'm not wearing a sport coat in Puerto Rico. Now, I do have them. I just can't tell you where they are. I don't know.
You have to hide them down there. Well, you know, the last time you were on the show, I think we were honoring your cowboy hat, and we all had cowboy hats on.
Sure. Appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Oh, by the way, I got to say this, C2. We didn't mention it earlier. I didn't mention earlier, but I love your hair, man. I mean, it is cool, right? Don't you think so, C3? Can I go C3, C2 here? Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're C2, C3. Yeah. You know, every time, or since I got on that Viome, you know, Glenn, our founder, discovered Viome, and I swear my hair has gotten darker. It's filling in. I'm getting better looking and smarter, and all kinds of good things are happening. Even
your skin is radiant. It just looks good, bro.
Well,
you're rocking that well.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. I didn't know
C3.
it would do this.
He's not on the Viome yet, huh?
Yeah, no, he's.
Not yet.
He'll get there.
Still got to take my test.
Right. Now he's got a beard. I can't do what he does with the beard. I can't get that going on. Yeah. But it has been. There's been a lot of water under the bridge, Knolly, since we last had you on the show. I'm trying to think. It's been over a year.
Over a year, yeah.
Yeah, and you are never letting the grass grow under your feet. You guys are moving around. You and your beautiful wife are now. You're in Puerto Rico and on a nice plot of land there. You were telling us earlier you've got growing your own mangoes and breadfruit and all kinds of stuff. What's it like living out there in paradise?
You know, it's tough, man. I mean, you know, the weather never gets below 72 and it never gets above 88. So that's kind of, you know, it takes some getting used to, I tell you.
How boring. Oh, my gosh. No tornadoes like boring. Austin, man. You know,
it's like, what T-shirt am I going to wear today? I mean, it's quite interesting because yesterday, it used to be when somebody would invite me on a yacht, you know, and my wife and I got to hang out with Susan and, well, I say Susan and Jean, probably should, anyway, I think she'll appreciate that. Susan and Jean Frederick. And we were on their yacht, beautiful, beautiful yacht. And we're there, we're all barefooted. We got our T-shirts on and we're doing our thing Puerto Rican style. But I blend right in. I don't know if you guys know this, but my dad was born and raised in Trinidad. Okay, so I'm actually first generation American. And I do the island thing very well, very well.
Oh, man, that's in your DNA.
For sure.
It's in my DNA. That's absolutely right.
Wow. That is so cool. Well, I
Yeah.
can do it. The sun doesn't, I have to kind of watch out, about getting too close to the sun, which I've done
Yeah.
a couple times in my
Yes,
life.
we've seen that, yeah.
But no, man, it's we always enjoy going down there, and I've seen pictures of, the Fredericks boat, the Naughty Nickel. That is
The Naughty
that is
Nickel,
a
that's
first
right.
class
Oh,
boat.
my
I can't
goodness.
wait to go down there and commandeer it. That's going to be a lot of fun
We
someday.
we did not want to get off that boat yesterday, and I'm glad it came yesterday. We were there when it pulled in, and because we're actually leaving for Texas tomorrow. Okay, and when I found out that Texas is going to be a little cold, I tried to push the trip back, but that didn't go over so well. The higher ups didn't really appreciate the idea that I wanted to push our trip back 3 days, but
Right.
you know,
Well, you have to work on your
until it got
stroke. Yeah,
warmer.
yeah, for sure,
Yeah.
for sure. Well, Nolly, before we let this slip away here, you've got a couple of really big things in the hopper here. One is you've just penned a book that you wrote really for entrepreneurs and real estate agents, but it's
Absolutely.
something that's 3 hours a day. Do you want to?
Yeah.
Can you give us a sneak peek of that? There it is. Is that going to
Three
be the
hours a
cover?
day, baby.
3 hours,
3 hours
a day.
That's
And
that's the cover.
Yeah,
And
and
it's
so
it's quite interesting. Yeah, it's quite interesting. Go ahead.
well, I was going to ask you what prompted you to want to write this book?
Let me tell you. So, when I got into real estate, I was in the music industry before real estate. I don't know if there's any memory of that, but
Yeah,
I was in the music industry. I did that, started that company when I was 23 years old. By the time I was 29, I'd made my first $1 million. Bought this big house. I don't know if you've ever seen that first house I had. You guys have ever seen that? It was actually 6,000 square feet, 7 bedrooms, on 10 acres. Okay. And I bought that when I was 26. By the time I was 29, I was making $150,000 a month. I'd made my first million, actually made a couple million that year. And by the time I was 33, I was flat broke. And I got into real estate. But see, back then I was working all the time. I was working, 60, 70, 80 hours a week. I was, and I was taught that you had to hustle, you had to grind, you had to put in that work in order to get that paycheck. And, it's interesting that we're all taught different things, but over the years, I've come to realize that, wait a minute, actually, I can work less and make more. So my question when I was young was, how can I make more money? I've been an entrepreneur since I was 12 years old. So I was like always on my hustle, like, how can I make more money? Come on, I need money around here. And I like money. Okay. So then the question became not how can I make more money? It's how can I make more money while working less or without working so hard, you know? And then finally the question became, when we ask better questions, we get better results. The final question became, how can I make more money without working?
that's a
Period,
good
right?
one.
Eh,
Yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
put that in a bottle and sell it. That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, I got into real estate. I sold over 1,000 houses my first 10 years in the business, but I was still on that hustle, man. I was doing 100 deals a year, 120 some years, 150 some years as a solo agent. Okay. I don't know if we talked about this last time, but in 2008, Austin Business Journal for that year ranked me as the #1 solo producing agent in the city of Austin. And there was about 9,800 agents that year in the city. And I was actually not working that much anymore. I had figured out, I'd started to try to kind of figured out the secret sauce of how to have more while working less. So I did it in that industry. Then I got into coaching, teaching, training. I just love doing this. I love paying it forward and watching other people succeed. And I know you guys love doing it too because you're leading an organization of 12,000 real estate agents and helping them, kind of come up in your footsteps. And you're really teaching and paying it forward and doing all the stuff that you guys do. It's just fun to watch people take not everybody will, probably not most will, but some, that little few, take it and you just watch them, you know, exceed. And so for me, that became so much fun that I started doing coaching, training, teaching full time. And I started realizing that actually I could do this and just work a few hours a day and still make, in the seminar business, I was making 70, 100,000 a month. Then I got into agent attraction, and we won't even go there, but I got to tell you, that's the best game in town. and I'm still working, just a few hours a day. So what happened was, just to put a bow on the whole story, um, a company reached out to me. They saw my videos on YouTube. I have over 800 videos on my YouTube channel now. How it got to that, I cannot even say, but I just went nuts at some point.
Mhm.
And they said, man, we've been watching your YouTubes. We're the ones that introduced Grant Cardone to everybody. We started working with, I mean, it goes on and on. Tim Story, they work with Evan Carmichael, and several other people. And they were saying that they like my style, but they said, man, we really think you have more potential. Okay. And so I started working with them, and, I hired them, started working with them. And the whole thing was like, okay, what do you really need to be teaching people? And I said, well, I like to teach listings. I do a lot of listings. Yeah, but people, what is it that's unique about you? So we went through this 6 weeks of discovery. And as we're going through it, it's like, how you go through branding, and people, they're like, okay, let's kind of figure out your brand. I'm like, man, I've been doing this for, I've been an entrepreneur since I was 12. I'm 53. So I kind of know they said, no, but let's just follow our process. So as they were talking to me, they'd be like, okay, where are you at? It's like, well, I'm in Denver this week. Then next week I'd talk to them. They say, well, where are you at today? I'm in Florida. Next week, where are you at? I'm in Puerto Rico. Oh, where? So every week I was somewhere else, because that's how I live. And they were saying, wait a minute, aren't you in real estate? I said, yeah, I'm in real estate. They said, well, how are you doing that? Like, you travel all the time. We know you're making good money. I said, well, I work 3 hours a day. They said, well, what is that? Like, tell me about that. So I just started telling them about my lifestyle. I do it this way. This is how I'm ultra efficient. I understand that there's only a certain number of things in my life that are really moving the needle to success. There's a lot of things that we do, but that's just busyness, not necessarily business, right?
Mhm.
And so I started breaking down how I do what I do, and they told me, they said, that's what people want to know. That's what we're gonna present to people. And so that became what I started teaching, is basically to how to live the way I do. That's does that
Mhm.
make sense?
Oh yeah.
And by the way, not everybody wants to. I got to tell you that. Not everybody wants
I'll trade spots with you.
to. uh, but it really is quite simple. We all know this, that in any business, if you take an entrepreneur like me, that when I was in, I mean, I spent 10 years building up this company to lose it all. And I was in the hustle and grind, and I believe in the hustle and grind. But what I teach entrepreneurs is the hustle and grind is a season. You don't have to live there. And when you begin to learn how to trust again, and you begin to delegate, what you'll find is that most of the things that you're doing every day don't need to be done by you.
Mm.
I was in the listing business, and I realized early on that I had a 46-step system for everything that I did on a listing. Step number one, generate the lead. Step number 40 was closing the transaction. And then there was 6 steps that happened after closing. And what I realized that was, after I looked at the list, I said, only about 5 of these things require a license. And so what I did was 91.3% of all activities that I normally would do, or that agents would normally do, I leveraged those out. And so I started just doing the 9% that was moving the needle to success. And I really found out that there's only 3, like in real estate, there's only, on a listing, there's only 2, if you might argue for 3 things that you can do on the life of the listing that actually move the needle to success. And I say they're actually income producing activities.
Mhm.
Income producing. And what I mean by income producing is it's generating now money. Everybody knows about that. You're listening to me right now, and you're like, I need money now. That's called now money. We call it cash flow in the business world. Okay. So you have to either be generating cash flow or future wealth. If the things that you're doing are not generating immediate cash flow or future wealth, you shouldn't be doing them. And there's only 2 things that I can think of on a listing that would do that. Number one is generate the lead. That's lead generation. Okay. And then the only other thing that you should have to do, I mean, you might argue that, after generating the lead, um, I mean, you generate the lead, you go on the appointment. Okay. Generate the lead, go on an appointment. Okay. Which is closing the sale, closing the deal. Okay. That's why we go on appointments, to close the deal. So everything else can be done by someone else. You could argue that negotiating offers could be a third thing, and I'll be okay with that. But those are really the only three things out of the 46 that you actually have to do. And when you start streamlining your business that way, and you start delegating all the non-dollar productive activities or the non-income producing activities, you get to a point where you realize that, hey, wait a minute, I've been working 10 hours a day, but I'm only working 3 hours on stuff that really moves the needle. And so what I teach is that, 2 hours in the morning, lead generation, and then you have an hour in the afternoon to go on an appointment every single day. Okay. And if you do that, you can be like me, you work 3 hours a day, but you got to have other people that do everything else. And it's really a whole system to that. So I actually, in the book, I break down step by step by step how to get to your 3 hours a day. And in the meantime, you could still work your 8 hours a day, but make sure that you have 3 hours of just income producing activities in there. That's your 3 hours a day that you got to do. I was coaching, I have several one-on-one coaching clients, and one that I met with this week, I looked at everything that they've been doing, and they know what I teach, guys. Okay. And I looked at everything they've been doing in the past week. They didn't do anything that was income producing. Okay. You're not doing any lead generation every day. You're not going on appointments. What are you doing? Well, we've been working 40, 50 hours a week. I know you have, but so it's a whole, and you guys know what I'm talking about, because you guys you guys are business people. So,
So interesting, one of the things you commented about was delegating, and that's a hard thing especially for entrepreneurs to do. Entrepreneurs are not born delegators. They like to do everything themselves.
Absolutely.
Right. So,
absolutely.
And then, so really, I think, I know there's got to be a component of leadership in here as well, because, if you look at the income pyramid, you get good at your trade, right? You get good at going out on listings and putting stuff up in the MLS and all that. Then you ostensibly would build a team, would be the next step. But now you're in that phase of life where really you're spending most of your time in leadership, right?
That's right.
What about how does the average real estate agent translate what they do into some type of a leadership role? I mean, this is kind of what you're getting at here, right? But in fact, you actually have created seminars. You've got a podcast coming out, and you got a TV show coming out to kind of keep the dots connected, right? Isn't that kind of the purpose of why you're doing that?
Yeah, I think it's a great question too. So when you think about it, in business, we only ever have two problems. Okay, this is really good news for entrepreneurs. In your business, you'll only ever be solving one of two problems. Either you don't have enough money. Okay, you already know what the two problems are. You either don't have enough money or you don't have enough time. Okay, once you solve the money problem, which is basically generating leads, going on appointments, generating leads, going on appointments. So in my system, what I teach is that you focus on two big picture priorities, and that's what you do for 90 minutes each. Okay, and those are really the only two big picture priorities that are moving the needle to success in your business anyway. Everything else can be done by someone else. But once you get to the point, what you're saying, Cliff, where you're like, wait a minute, I've got 6, 7 deals in the pipeline every single month. I'm generating leads every single day from 9 to 11, like Knolly teaches. I'm going on appointments multiple times a week. And now I'm pretty good, but I got this big time problem because I need more of it. Okay. Then what you do with your big picture priorities, your focus becomes branding and leadership. Those are your two big picture priorities. Once you're starting to build your team, okay, you're branding yourself. What does that even mean? That means that you are the brand. Okay. You are the brand. What is your highest and best use of you? Well, you become a brand ambassador for your brand. Okay, let's say the C3 brand. Now you're the brand ambassador. What does a brand ambassador do? Well, think about it. If I was to pay you $400,000 a year to be my brand ambassador, what would you do? Well, you'd kick off a podcast. You get me a book deal. You would maybe have a TV show, you'd be doing a YouTube channel, you'd have all kinds of stuff for branding and really putting the message out there in front of the people. So once people more or less know who you are and you've built up success and now you got your team going, well, now with your team, you're the brand ambassador, number one, and then you're doing leadership. And that's super simple. You know, you do a daily huddle that's 5 to 15 minutes every single day with your team, or you could say, or you do a once a week meeting. It's 1 hour. And that's where you basically hold everyone to the expectations that you've set for their different positions. So it really is, it's a whole system behind it, but there are 7 steps. The reason why most of us, myself included, don't really like to delegate is because delegation is not the first thing out of the gate. Okay, there's actually 7 different steps along the path in order to be able to get to the 3 hours a day that I teach. And delegation is step number 4. But there's several steps that have to happen before that. And the truth is, most entrepreneurs don't ever get to even the first step. You know, they just kind of hopscotch around the game board, if you will. And true success is really more methodical. It's more of it's you know, there's a rhythm to it. And you have to do the right things in the right order. Most entrepreneurs are doing the right things in the wrong order.
So is it like an AA meeting? The first thing you got to do is admit that you have a problem, right? Is that step number 1?
That's actually number 2.
Number 2.
The first thing you have to do is hone your superpower. That's number 1. Step number 1. Hone your superpower. Because what you're doing when you hone your superpower is now you're laying a foundation and you're building your entire business on the back of who you are, who you really are. So that's really tough because you have to understand who it is that you are, and then you have to truly be that individual, and you have to build your business around that. Okay, I'll give you an example. So a lot of times, people that I coach, they think that, okay, well, I have to make cold calls. I have to be, well, that's okay. You can do that, and that will lead to success for a lot of people. Okay, but if you're a high CS or an SC profile, you're probably going to burn out from that strategy. So you have to understand who you are, and you understand that by taking like the DISC test, the Genius test, the Passion test. There's a bunch of tests that are free, by the way. You take those and you start to get a profile of who am I, what kind of person I am. There's a reason why guys like Lance Loken, you know, when I was coming up in the real estate game, Lance never went on any listing appointments. He never met with sellers. He never met with buyers, yet he still sold 1,200 homes a year. Okay, how did he do it? As an extreme introvert. When I say extreme introvert, I mean, one time we were speaking at an event and I get jacked up. When I'm on stage, you can tell right now, that's fire for me. And I'm an introvert myself. But when I get on stage, something happens, like Michael Jackson. The guy was so shy, like you walk up, yeah, you know, but then when he get on stage, forget about it. That's me. So we were doing an event together, and man, Lance was just introverted. I mean, you could just tell. He's not a natural speaker, but everything he said was gold. But he didn't say it with fire or whatever, but it was good stuff, right? So then we're going back to the it's lunchtime, right? Lance already spoke, and he's going back to the room. I said, hey man, where are you going to be sitting for lunch and everything? He said, no, man, I'm done. I said, you done? That's cool. But where are you going to be sitting for lunch? He said, no, I'm done, bro. He said, I don't like being around people like that, man. I'm going to my room and you won't see me again. Straight went to his room and that was it. Like he was done. Okay. I was like, man, you're not even hanging around people and you sell 100 homes a month? Yeah. Well, how do you do it? Well, he knows who he is and he shows up as that person for his team. Does that make sense? Does that begin to make sense? And see, what a lot of people haven't done is they don't know who they are. And so they're just running, oh, I read this book. The guy said to do it this way, so I'm going to do it. That's not you. Why are you doing his way? Now, it might work for you if that's you. Is his profile the same as yours? I didn't think so. Now let's do you. Okay. So you have to hone your super. It's just like, now this is going to date me. Do you now? C3 don't even get to play on this game right here. Now, do you remember the Justice League? Of course not. Nobody. What's the Justice League? I say that. Okay, but you guys know the Avengers, right? You know the Avengers. Same
Sure.
thing.
Yes.
The Justice League, man, that was Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, the Wonder Twins. Man, I'm telling you, man, that was it. But see, they were good by themselves, but when they got together, forget about it. I mean, the bad guys were done. Okay, a Superman can kick you know what by himself, but now we got Batman up in here. Forget about it. You done. And so what happens is when you understand who you are, guess what it does? It shines a light on your genius, but it also shines a light on your weakness. Like you absolutely suck. And by the way, most geniuses suck at most things. They're really good at a couple of things, like one or two, and everything else, not so much. Okay, but they're really good at certain things. So when you understand where you're weak or where you're strong, okay, and you understand where you're weak also, okay, and you partner with others who are strong in those areas. So that's a real big gift that happens when you hone your superpower, and then you build your business on top of that. Okay, so if we need a stealth mission, we need somebody to stealthily go in for this mission that we have, a task that we have going on. We're not going to send the Incredible Hulk. Wrong choice. Okay. All he knows how to do is smash stuff. Now, if I need something smashed, I got the Hulk coming in, right? But if not, I'm gonna send Atom Man, right? That little, that guy that can go real small and be real stealthy. I'm not gonna send the Incredible Hulk up in there. So you have to understand, like, man, I'm the Hulk. That's not a good job for me. I'm gonna get so and so to do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's step number one, and then it goes to the second step that you said.
Well, I really, I mean, the way you articulated that was really incredible, and I'd never really thought about it to that extent. I can't wait to, and I know I have a copy of your book in my inbox. I can't wait to pour through it. But I mean, that's really incredible. Nolly, let me ask you this. A lot of coaches start out with, instead of trying to figure your superpower, trying to figure
Sure.
out your why. Is that part of your
Yes,
7 steps?
yes, yeah. That's actually part of balancing your business, and so that I teach that later.
Okay.
So I'll quickly rattle the 7 steps because it's going to be easier if I just rattle them off. So step number one, you got to hone your superpower. And then step number two, you evaluate your business. And in that step, you actually look at the 5 critical areas of your business, and then you evaluate them. You look at them. There's red light, yellow light. Are they red, yellow, or green? And those mean different things. And then step number three is where you balance your business. So that's where I kind of have you looking at your big why. We look at the 8 pillars of your business. Every business has 8 pillars. Okay. Mindset, activities, people, systems, tools, money, accountability, and training. And these are the same 8 pillars that when you look at, for example, when I was a kid, I used to read Small Business Opportunities magazine. I was the only kid that I knew that read that. But in the magazine, there was a lot of different franchises. And what you found was every single franchise had a system that you could actually, in a box, you could snap in, and they had everything, you know. And so those are the 8 pillars that I've modeled around how very successful franchises like Chick-fil-A, 90%, 95% of Chick-fil-A's succeed, whereas according to statistics, okay, I would have about a 20% chance of succeeding with Nolly's Chicken Shack. Okay. But if I get a Chick-fil-A, it's a 95% success. Why is that? Well, they've got the 8 pillars in place. And then there's 4 bodies that I teach, which is every one of us has 4 bodies. We have a spiritual body, a mental body, a physical body, and an emotional body. This is all science. This is all scientifically proven. And we have a lot of case studies that we cite in the book. McGraw-Hill, they turned down 100 out of 100 books that are submitted. Okay, that's just the way McGraw-Hill is. When my guy said, man, we're going to submit this to the top 3 publishers in America, and I guarantee you one of them will probably not pick it up. So don't get your hopes up. And then I got this other 30 publishers that will submit it if they don't pick it up. And then I got this other 300. So we'll go in that order. Is that okay with you? I said, cool. If that's what we're going to do. As soon as they put it in, boom, McGraw-Hill snatched it up. They said, this is a big idea that the entrepreneurial world needs to see. And so that's really how big this is. And so everything that I have in the book, we have case studies and science behind it. But we have four bodies. The Homo sapiens has four bodies. This is science. And then at the core of the four bodies is your big why. That's your big why. And a lot of people start with why, and I get that. I love Simon Sinek. A lot of people start with why, but I don't think that a lot of people can really understand their why. See, here's the thing that happens, Cliff. I go to somebody and say, "What's your big why?" My grandkids, that's my big why. Boom, and the chest just starts popping like that. And I say, "Oh, that's what's up. You got 5 grandkids. That's your big why. Okay, let's do this." And then boom, boom, boom. Now 6, 8 months later, I'm like, "You're not hitting your numbers." Oh, I guess the grandkids ain't that big of a why for you, is it? Right? See, they think that's their big why, but the reality is it's just not big enough. I mean, it's big, okay, but it's just not big enough. Have you ever seen somebody that comes up with a big why because of this, but they still don't hit their numbers? Okay. Now, but when you wrap your business around who you are, okay, there's not even a big why that's necessary. That's just you. That's just who you are, right? And but at the core, see, we're here for 3 reasons. This is very very, very important for people to understand this. You're in this realm for 3 reasons only. Okay, 3 reasons. Number one, you're here to be. You're a human being, not a human doing. Okay, you're here to have an experience. That's why you're here. Okay, that's and so we're human beings. We're here to be. We're also here to do. Okay, we're not human doings, but we are here to do. We have a mission, a purpose. Okay, we have something that is and then we're here to give. We're here to give. Be, do, give. That's why we're here. That's the whole story. And so a lot of times when I just tell you what my why is, the reality is they don't even know what their why is, Cliff, most entrepreneurs, because they don't know who they are. Okay, I'm just going to say it that way. I don't know any other way to say it. I don't like saying it that way. I don't want to be mean because I love you. You're listening to the sound of my voice. I love you. And that's why Uncle Knowledge gives me the real skinny, right? You want me to be, and most people I ask them, I say, wait a minute, how truthful do you want me to be? They say, all the way. I'm like, all right, we can play now. So most people don't know what their why is because they don't know who they are. So how can they know their why? So you got to know who you are first. That's what I've come to understand. And so then that's really my third step. And then the fourth step is delegate. Okay, we've already got through the first, then delegate, and there's a very specific way that you scrape your plate. And it's very simple. All you do is you write down every single thing that you do, everything that you do, okay? And then you rate it on a scale of 1 to 5. 1 means I hate it, 2 means I don't like it, 3 means I like it, 4 means I really like it, and 5 means I love it. It's the Amazon system, okay? I got it from them. So what I do is I look at every single thing within, a company, and I say, okay, and I rate everything, every task that happens, okay? And I rate it on a scale from 1 to 5, and I only do 4s and 5s. If it's a 1, 2, or 3, I don't do it. I don't even do stuff I like doing. I got to really like it or love it, or it doesn't come on my plate at all. It's not even for consideration on my plate. Okay. Now, it still doesn't mean that I'll do it, and then what I learned from John Kitchens is you take it one step further. You write down everything that you do, got out of bed, brushed my teeth. Okay. Then I did this, then I did that. And then you rate it on is it a green light or red light? Green light means that you actually, like there's no one else that could actually do that. Red light means somebody else could actually do that. Okay. Can somebody else brush my teeth? Well, we could argue about that, but probably not. Right. But there's a lot of, so every single thing, it's not that you're going to delegate it. It's could it be delegated if you had to? You see what I'm saying? And so the delegation is a whole system that I teach in the book on that. And then, because most people don't delegate because number one, they don't trust and they don't know how. They probably have a good reason not to trust, by the way. I know I did. And then you systematize your business. That's step 5. By the way, you don't systematize your business. The person you delegate to does. Your first hire is always going to be an admin, and their job is to systematize your business and to create your team operations Bible. That's a whole system for how to do that. Super easy to do, but I teach how to do that. But you don't create it; they create it for you. Okay, so because a lot of entrepreneurs are like, well, I'm not very once I get organized, once I organize my business, then I'll hire somebody. That's the wrong approach. You hire them and then they organize it for you. Okay. So then number 6, you design your 3 hours a day. And then step 7 is how I teach you how to quadruple your income working 3 hours a day. And there's 5 specific ways that you can quadruple your income. So literally, I teach entrepreneurs how to make $250,000, $1 million a year or more working just 3 hours a day. And there's a whole system to it. It's super easy to do, super simple, but it takes a little time to get to. But the reality is, without knowing that this is even possible, most entrepreneurs never get to it. They spend 10, 20, 30, 40 years thinking that all they had to do was hustle and grind the whole time. And that's not the case, man. The hustle and grind is a season.
And seasons change, right? As we know.
Yes.
Yeah,
they have
sure. Yeah.
They have to. It's like if you're building a house, are you hustling and grinding to get a custom home built? You may not be, but whoever's building it is. They got it. They're hustling, they're grinding. But once the house is built, you should be able to move in and live in your house. You know, it's like Don Hobbs teaches us, the purpose of a business is to serve the owner. Okay? If you're slaving away for your business, then the business owns you. You don't own the business.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Or worse yet, you could be renting your career instead of
by the hour.
Yeah.
See, when we equate how many hours we put in to our success, like, man, I'm hustling, boy, I put in 12 hours. Well, you're talking like an employee. That's the employee paradigm, you know? And the reality is there's a whole, I don't even want to get into this level of it, but scientifically and historically, you can show that working was never really like we glamify, we give work glamour because we're from the working class. But the families that really owned everything, like if you went into, like if you ever watched Downton Abbey, I don't know if you guys ever watched that, but you know these historic pieces where you have lords and dukes and so on, and you like aristocrats. Okay, you're like, what did they do? Well, if you read the history on how aristocrats got their money and how they kept their money and how they keep it still today, you'll realize that they actually work about 1 hour a day. Working is not considered, like we look at work like, yeah, fool, I'm working. I'm the hardest working man in business. What's up? We look at it as like a badge of honor, but they look at it like, man, work, like what you mean work, man? That's for the working class. There was actually a whole different class of people that were considered workers. Okay. And so what they did was they conditioned us to believe that working, who's working the hardest? Oh, we're going to reward that one. He's working. And the problem with that is that we never really became owners. Like we're supposed to be the lords, the dukes, you know, the duchess, and so on. But we never really elevated to that status because we never learned how. But the truth of it is that, you know, those of us that are really living in, I mean, we don't want to be lazy. Like we want to have fun. And that's why I teach that there's 14 areas of life. I call them the 14 life areas. And work and career is just one of those 14. And when a person's a workaholic like me, I love working. I mean, I love working so much that, like, when I used to be on vacation, I'd be thinking about work. Like, I love it. I love what I do, okay? So, but the reason I loved it so much is because I've never studied all the other areas. And it's not the work that I love so much as the energy that I'm able to expend. Like, there's some exchange of energy that I'm getting as a reward for that. But now I've learned to rechannel, and I teach entrepreneurs how to rechannel that energy into other things, okay? So that they can still get the reward of living without having to be stuck in that hustle and grind.
You know,
does that make sense?
Yeah, you know, it's that 86,400 seconds we all get every day.
Yeah,
all of us get the same.
That's right.
And it's what you do with them that makes the difference, right?
That's right. That's right. That's
amazing.
Right. Yeah.
Nolly, we're super excited about your book coming out. We didn't even get a chance to really talk about the training. You just came back from a boot camp that you taught. But there's so much here, so much meat on the bone I wish we had another hour to.
You mean I didn't give you a chance, right? That's
Well, I mean,
you wind me up, I go.
but that's just it. I mean, there's so much value here for everybody that's on
Thank
this
you. Thank you. Appreciate
on this
that.
episode watching this today.
For sure.
I mean, you just keep dropping the gold here, man, and that's why obviously you're very sought after and very well respected for what you do. Working, have your name associated with some of the names that you mentioned earlier, Grant Cardone among others, and that's the level that you play at, and we're super excited to call you and Josie friends, and just always following you on Facebook and seeing how much you guys impact other people's lives, and your mission for you and your who you are and your legacy you're going to leave is just it's getting better and better every time we get a chance to talk to you. So we are about out of time.
I'm fired
here,
up.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, baby.
Knolly, what's the best way? I'm sure you're going to get some people that wanting to contact you after they watch this. What's the best way to reach you?
The best way is just to go to my website, because all my contact, everything's there. That's knolly.com. And if you can spell my name, you can find me. If you can't, Knolly, Knolly.com. It's a Caribbean name, by the way.
And,
it's a Trinidadian name. So
Trinidad.
Knolly.com. And of course, you can go to 3hoursaday.com. You can pre-order the book. It does come out in July. If you're listening to this or watching this, later after July 2023, maybe this is July of 30, what did I say? 20. Hey, maybe it is 1,000 years from now. We don't know how long this stuff is going to live behind us, right? But if you're listening to this, 10 years from now, I guarantee you the information is still relevant because it's evergreen. I mean, this is when you study the science of the Homo sapiens, we haven't changed for 300,000 years, according to the fossil record.
Yeah, especially our brains, that's for sure. Are we going to see you in Cabo in a couple of weeks?
Man, I'm going to be in Cabo. Come on now.
I can't wait.
I'm going to be in Cabo.
I got some, man. I can't wait to sport my my Caribbean shirts again and all that. So,
yeah,
C3?
I'm not going to pack my boots this year. I guarantee you I'm not going to.
Okay.
No, yeah. Not
Perfect.
necessary anymore when you live in the Caribbean, though.
Man, isn't it great to get Knolly back in the seat here? I'll tell you what.
No, I'm excited to read your book, Knolly. I think.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I'm going to try to implement that three-hour workday myself.
Yeah, you've been
well,
doing
I'm
that
trying.
a long time
I want to get this
already.
information out to the world, man, because I think it's and by the way, the cool thing is, even if you're like, man, I would never work 3 hours a day. Don't worry about it. You can work 8 hours a day, 10 hours, whatever you want. But I guarantee you're going to be far more efficient during your day than you ever have before. And I had one guy tell me, because he's a workaholic, he just said, man, I'm going to learn how to work 3 hours a day just so I can, I'm still going to work 8 hours, but I'm going to get 3 times as much done. I'm like, hey, however you handle your business, I'm not going to tell you how to live.
Right.
No,
yeah.
for sure.
If that's that sounds like new math to me, but I like working just 3 hours a day. I'm productive enough. How about you?
Yeah. Well, if I can get my 8 hours into 3 hours, then let's do it.
There
That's
you
what it's
go.
all about.
Yeah.
That's
There
what
you
it's
go.
all about. All right, my friend. Well, hey, we wish you the best. It's great to see you. Love your new house there. You gave us a little tour of earlier. We wish you guys all the best. Get out there and get on that Naughty Nickel with Gene and Susan and have a cocktail for us, will you?
You know I will. I appreciate it. I love you both, and thank you so much for having me.
You got it,
Much
brother.
love,
Much love
Knolly.
from Prosper, man. You got it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys. Boy, epic Hall of Fame State Fair Blue Ribbon show today, huh? I
It's
mean,
like
this guy.
my weeks and months recently.
Yeah,
They go
yeah.
so fast.
So much,
know.
yeah. I mean, this is the show you want to go watch 3 or 4 times,
Yeah, no, I'm serious about his book. If you guys haven't, checked that out yet, you might go
Get a hold
that
of
on
it.
pre-order.
Yeah. Yep, that's right. Well, hey, it's good to be back. I was just in hot from Scottsdale last night, and it's great to see you guys again. And catch us next week right here again when we blow your mind with another super guest right here on Cliff's Notes. All right, folks, tune in to Cliff's Notes every Thursday at 1 o'clock Central for the tips, tricks, and tactics to explode your business. I guarantee